She has coffee in here. No one says anything.
I told her to take that.
Oh, you can't have coffee in here. Just sit it out there and then come back and you can finish it. I appreciate that. You told her she wouldn't listen?
Right.
Oh,
She's a friend of mine, that's why.
that's your friend?
Yeah, I brought her.
Oh, you have a friend that doesn't listen to you. How y'all doing? Good. All right, I'm glad to see everybody. So a lot is going on, and I want to try to cover as much as possible. First, I want to ask, how many people, and this is because I experienced something, that's why I'm asking this question, would like to be cremated once you die?
I'm still around on that.
You still out on that one? You might consider it?
Yeah.
Can we get the mic? Boy, come over with the mic.
I don't know if you're going to keep asking me.
You might consider being cremated once you die?
Yes.
And why?
Well,
It's cheaper, that's for one thing.
it's cheaper, number one, and what difference does it make? I don't know that
What
it
difference
makes
does
a
it make?
difference in being laid or just, you're going to turn to dust and corrode and everything anyway.
Okay. And so you might consider it.
Yeah.
I know it's cheaper and save the family a lot of money.
Right.
Who else would consider it? Oh, interesting. Let's go to the young lady with the red hair and then behind.
You don't know my name?
I'm bad with names. Is that true? I'm bad with names, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember it. You would consider being cremated?
I'd consider it, yeah.
And why?
Kind of like what she said, what difference does it make? But at the same time, I don't know. I'd kind of want the traditional way so my family could visit if they want.
So your family can visit?
If they wanted to. I mean, because when you get cremated, you go in a, what you call it? Urn, right? So only one person or one family member would have it? No? Oh. Well, I didn't know that.
So you would like to be buried so your family member can come see you?
If that's what they wanted, yeah.
And you wouldn't mind?
No.
But if you burn or cremated, they won't come see you?
Well, now that she
Because they're
explained
going to
that you
throw
can
you in the
scatter
ocean or
it.
somewhere, right?
No. Now that she said you can scatter it, I didn't know that. I thought it was
Yeah,
just
you
like-
could either keep it or scatter it. Some people keep it at home on the shelf.
That's creepy.
All kind of weird stuff. And you say you would consider being cremated?
I mean, I don't really care what happens to this tent after I'm gone. I mean, it doesn't really make any difference to
So
me.
they just do what they want. Throw you
Yeah,
in the woods and
whatever
let
is
you ride away.
cheapest. Yeah, whatever is cheapest and less invasive to them.
That's amazing. How about you? Would you want to be cremated?
I've thought about it, yes.
Oh, yeah? And what made you think about it?
When I'm gone, I'm gone. I mean, you go to the cemetery, it's nothing there but the plot. So
Oh.
I'd just rather let the ashes go. Bye.
So just burn you, get it over.
Get it over with, yes.
Because when I'm gone forever. When I'm gone forever. Amazing. I went to a funeral on Saturday. That's why I'm asking this. And it was a lady who is a friend of our family. And she grew up with my uncle and aunt. They all went to school together down in Alabama. And so we went to the funeral. They had it at the, have those little chapel things at the grave, at the cemetery. And so they had this funeral. The family got up and said what they said, and the preacher said what he said. And then they said, well, the service is over. You can walk by, look at the body, and that's it. It's over. And so I'm standing outside, and I asked my aunt, are you going to the, where they put them in the grave? And she's like, no, she's going to be cremated. And I'm like, really? And I'm thinking, it seems so weird. At that moment, it never seemed weird before to me, but at that moment, it just seemed weird that she's going to be cremated. And I'm like, and she's black. I know white people are into all that kind of stuff, but black country people are not into that. So she's from Alabama. And so I'm thinking, I asked my aunt, why would she want to be cremated? That seems so weird. They're going to take her after we left. They took the body and just dumped it into a fiery furnace, and she burned up. Isn't that amazing? And it seemed like so weird. And my aunt said, well, I don't know, people doing all kind of things today. But, but it just seemed odd. I'll be afraid to be burned. Because at least when you go in the grave, if I were going to die, right, you put me in the grave, at least I'm going back to my elements. You know, back to dust, back to all that, and I'll be in familiar territory. But if I'm being burned, I'm not in familiar territory. But I didn't come from fire, right? So my body came from the earth. And so we need to go back to the earth. And then I was thinking, what would happen if she burned her body and then she go up to the white pearly gate and want to get in, and the angel asked, well, where's your body? And she's like, I burned it. You can't get in. They're going to tell you have to go right on back down there where the fire is. Another thing I was thinking, I don't even like this idea of, you know how they have you at the driver's license place, they ask you if you want to donate a part of your body to somebody. I don't want nobody to have any parts of my bodies. Because suppose I need it later, you just don't know. I might need it later, and God like, where are your kidneys? And I'm like, well, the DMV asked me that I wanted to donate it, so they took it out just when I died. Wouldn't that be interesting if you wanted me to have my parts and they're gone? You gonna have what?
We're gonna have a new body.
But it might be this one that he might redo over or something.
It's gonna be a new glorified body.
But suppose he said, well, I don't have any extra bodies that look like you.
Well, he can't change his mind, and you know, it is what it is.
I just can't see myself being
But I mean, that's not you anyway. You are a spirit, so why do you worry about the tent?
But it's my body. My body, my choice. It just seemed weird. It could be me tripping, but I couldn't imagine this lady burning her body. I'm like, from Alabama, we never would have thought of anything like that. Now, city life, I know they do think of it. Yes, sir. So, what, Mary?
I said, I guess everybody's caught up with the city life.
I guess.
I was just adding a curveball. Remember the Valley of...
What happened to your hair? You got a haircut?
Yeah, just a fade.
Oh, no, it's behind you.
That's behind me.
All right.
I had it back there. The Valley of Dry Bones and the rib that Eve was made out of. Good argument for keeping your bones, right?
That's right. So if I was going to die, yes, Mary, let's go here, Jeremiah. If I was going to die, just bury me.
Well, even from back in the
You could do a little cheap burial. It doesn't have to be expensive.
back in the
Well,
time
put me back in the
of,
ground.
back in the time of Egypt, you know, they always buried people. You know, they buried the people, corpses, but guess what they did with that?
What?
They had grave robbers go in and they would grind them up, mummy dust, and they used them as condiments to put on their food because it helped.
Gross.
Gross, but that's what they did. Okay,
Where's
so
Egypt now?
well, it's a thing of the past.
I rest
but
my
anyway,
case.
they were
That is
so
nasty. Anyway, another thing I realized at the funeral, it's hard getting old. Getting old is not attractive. Have you noticed that? No. Anybody ever notice that? And so I was telling Esteban yesterday, Esteban, that guy, when we were riding back from the event, he was like, oh, my stomach hurt. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I said, that come from you eat all that McDonald's food and fast food. And I said, look, you better take care of your body right now while it's still young and strong and tight. Because as you get older, it's going to be hard to make it go back the other way. because the more weight you put on, the harder you get to take it off, and you're getting old. So you better be trying to eat right and exercise now. You know what I'm saying? That way you can keep it that way longer. And he was like, but I love hamburgers. So just keep on living. And I may just be noticing these things. It probably doesn't mean anything to you guys. And that's fine. It's just that it helped me to work out longer. To try to keep it as long as I can. Anybody ever seen that? You grew up with someone and you didn't recognize them when you saw them? And how do you say, oh, I didn't recognize you, right? So I went, oh, how you doing? Okay, one more thing. Getting old, being burned. Oh, I saw them. One of the sad, and I really want you to hear this, everybody. We reported on one of the saddest stories on my radio show this week that I think I've ever reported on. And it was about a football player, and I think he played with the Steelers. And he is a Army, what? Armed Ranger. And he's a football player. And so they got ready to do the national anthem. And the whole team stayed in the shower, in the back. And this one player came out and he, did the national anthem. He stood alone. And as a result of standing alone, America was on his side. They started to buy his products. They really liked that courage because it's not easy standing alone. And then, so they were talking about him. They really admired him. And then either that same day or the next day, he came out and apologized for doing that. And saying that he went against his team. He was sorry for it. And I'm like, wow, his life would never be the same again. He lost his life because he did the right thing and the majority of the people did not, his team, and they convinced him to get with them. So he turned away from good, he turned away from the truth, back to the lie. And unless he repents, he's never going to be happy again. Isn't that like a sad story? And he turned away because of the pressure. Because the team is doing the wrong thing. It's not like they're doing the right thing. And I say this to you that when you are standing up for what is right, 99.999.9, not all the time, 0.9, you're going to have to stand alone, but God is with you. And that's how you see the strength of God working through you, because you're standing up for what is right, and He's with you. And it just broke my heart to see that man lose his soul like that. And went along, and the coach is a black guy, a black coach. And so I can imagine the pressure that was put on him. And he caved in. Isn't that amazing? Anybody ever caved in under pressure? He's like, oh, I'm sorry for telling the truth, I was just playing. Anybody ever done that? Nobody here, huh? You have? Well,
actually,
be honest.
let me tell
and
you.
shame the devil.
Let me tell you what happened. One of my friends calls me up, and she says to me, I don't like what you're posting on Facebook.
Make a long story short. Because
I don't like what you're posting on Facebook. You can't call black people liars and bitchs, etc. So anyway, she says, never speak to me again if that's how you're going to do. I said, okay. Thank you very much.
And then you apologize later for saying that?
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me when
No.
you caved in.
No, I blocked her.
Don't be trying to brag about your little courage.
Blocked. But I mean, can you imagine somebody
But-
doing that?
I can imagine that, but the point is, if you're standing for what is right, don't back down. You know it's right. You know it's true. Don't back down. And this guy backed down. And it's just sad that he did, because he lost his life. Yes. He went back on the wrong side. And those people that he turned back to don't like him anyway. They're going to be gone their way after a while. He'll be left on his own, and he's separated from what is right. Isn't that like an amazing story? It is an amazing story. I've gone through so much in the last 27 years, and I'm glad I did because it caused me to just enjoy standing alone, because I know God is with me. As long as I know I'm right, if I'm wrong, I quit to say, hey, I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that. But when you know you're right, it blesses your soul to stand for what is right. Can you imagine Jesus backing down because they ran him out of his own hometown? The people, his family member wouldn't stand with him, and they hated him because he told the truth. They turned on him, and he's like, you know what, Father? I can't go through this. This is too much. I know you with me, but it ain't enough. And then went back and gave in to the pressure of the world. Where would we be today? So nobody in this room has given in to the pressure. That's amazing. You have? Give me a story of you giving in to the
I
pressure.
don't remember a story, but I was very weak before
Yeah.
I woke up. And if I would try to stand up, they would all gang up on me,
Yeah.
So I would go along with them because I was so weak. But
Yeah.
I don't do that no more.
When you stand against evil, you're being made strong. Even if you feel weak, God is with you, and you're being made strong, and He's giving you wisdom, and a whole lot come with that.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it, but it really does. You grow
does.
when you stand strong.
Because when people try to bully you or something and you
Yeah.
don't say anything, they continue to do that.
That's right.
If you stand
And
up,
people don't like you anyway when you cave.
that's right.
They disrespect you because they know that you're weak.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy, what was his name, James? Alejandro.
Yeah, Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah. Well, we need to pray for him because, I know it must have been intense pressure for him. I would have been embarrassed to go back out in the world like that and say, oh, I'm just playing. I should have stood up like that. I'd rather go die somewhere
Right.
because he's dead anyway. He's disrespectful. Respect it from now on. Yes. Right here.
I guarantee you
That's
that.
Esteban who said he just loved hamburgers.
We know that's about.
Go ahead.
I guarantee you that ball player, he's a little different than the rest of the ball players anyway, and I bet you he doesn't necessarily fit in exactly anyway, because how could you first come out not against the team, but separate
And
from
do
the
what's
team and
right.
do what he did anyway?
Yeah.
He's a little bit different anyway, but it's sad to see him cave.
Well, not anymore. He's just like them now.
Right now, he's just like him.
When you give into evil, you become like it. That's how you become like it. You cave in. That's how children become like their parents. After a while, they just give in. They resent it. And in that very moment, you lose your identity and become like whomever you've given into. Isn't that an amazing thing that can happen to you? Yes, sir. And then I have one more.
So, you know how today people throw around the term patriot hero for everything? The guy should never have said a thing if he's spineless, because what he did was,
The guy that stood up?
yeah,
He should not have said anything?
he shouldn't have said anything.
Meaning what?
He shouldn't even have come out for the anthem because
Why not?
it's cowardice what he did. Like, you see, with me, something about me that everyone else doesn't.
Right, I'm not going to tell him.
I'll tell him because people
No,
need
no,
to
no,
hear
no,
this.
no, don't tell your little business.
I'll tell them because people
All
need to know. No, look, I used to be a
No,
single
I'm
father.
just kidding. I'm just joking.
I used to be a single father, right? And when this was before I was a Christian. When Obama was running amok and destroying people's lives, I stood up. There was a very corrupt liberal judge, a female, that didn't like the fact that I was raising my son as a Christian. And she did everything in her power to take my son away from me. 3 years of hell, lost work, lost thousands of dollars, lost my home. They took my son
Wow.
and they threw him in a homeless shelter, all because I did not bow down to liberalism, feminism, Satanism, and I kept talking about Obama. Now, for a guy that gets paid millions of dollars to throw a football around, if you're going to back down because your teammates make fun of you, that's a coward to me. I lost everything in my life, even my son. I haven't seen him in 7 years because I stood up to the Obama administration.
That's amazing.
I was blackballed on Google, lost tons of friends, lost fans. I'm a musician. So I don't respect any of this. You know, there's a lot of people put
So
on
you're
Trump.
saying he should not have
No.
stood if he was going to back down?
Right. It's a coward move.
Oh, yeah.
There's-
If you're
there's-
going to
there-
back down, you might as well
There's no
sit
gray area.
down.
Fall
and
on
no
your
one-
sword. Fall on your sword. Die.
Yeah.
If you're courageous enough to say something,
Yeah.
die.
That's
it.
right.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I agree. Right here and then here.
It's kind of a negative point I was going to make.
A
But
negative one?
yes. It's just remarkable that he's a combat veteran, right? A combat veteran Army Ranger apologized for standing for the national anthem.
I know, especially. Yeah.
It's
No, it's sad.
we have left the reservation. We are in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
We are in an alternate reality.
Yeah. No, it's pretty bad. It really, I was stunned when that man did this video apologizing for standing for truth. It was shocking. It was amazing. But I learned from it. My other thing is, I don't know how to ask this question. I don't know which part to ask first. How many here have virtue? You are a virtuous person. Nobody? One person? I got two. You're a virtuous person? Yeah, virtuous. And you are, I got four. No, No, I want to know how many are first. And so only three in this room. Are you raising your hand or combing your hair? This is amazing. And so how do you know you are?
That I have virtue? Because I don't, well, I'll renege.
You what?
I'll renege.
Speaking to the mic?
I'll renege.
What does that mean?
Change my mind.
Why you really changed your mind about it?
I did.
You thought you were?
Yes.
And then you thought about it, you realized you're not?
Right.
Oh, Lord. And who else? You raise your hand? How do you know you are?
Well, when I see people doing wrong things, I don't do the same thing, and I'll say something about it. I mean, standing up and doing the right thing, I would say is virtuous.
Oh, okay. Whatever. You have two jobs and a nice haircut, so that's a good sign.
Thank you.
Did you raise your hand? And how do you know you are
In the
a
past,
virtuous person?
I have been.
You have been what?
I have been virtuous.
But you're not no longer?
Well, I don't know what the future lies.
No, I'm talking about right now, as of this day.
So far, yes.
And how do you know you are? This is not a test. This is fellowship. Like, look, Mary just examined herself and realized she's not. We got to know ourselves. That's all this is. It's not a right or wrong. Well, it's a right or wrong, but it's not a test. You don't fail. And so you're saying that you are. And how do you know you are?
Well, so far, I haven't fallen to temptation. Some temptations that I fell from before.
Oh, okay.
And
all right. And Mark, you say you're not a virtuous person, right?
Correct.
And how do you know you're not?
Because I don't think there's much to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
even though you own a boat?
Excuse me?
Even though you own a boat?
Even though I have a small little fishing boat, that's correct. No, I think
At least he's humble.
I think when we examine ourselves, like I used to be like, okay, well, I like to go fishing, or I like to do this, or I like to have fun. And the more I would try to like deduce, like, what is the bottom line? What does all this mean? I come up with nothing.
Oh, okay. So that's how you know you're not a virtuous person.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Hermes, are you a virtuous person? I can't see him.
I'm in the middle of something. This lady's making a bunch of noise in here. I'm about to ask her to leave.
Oh, tell her she has to leave then.
Yeah.
Tell your friend she got to
You
go,
don't have to
man.
leave.
Is she with you? Oh. Well, is she going to be quiet?
I don't know.
Leave it alone for right now, Mary. See if she be quiet. She's rebelling. Are you a virtuous person?
Yeah, I think so.
And how do you know you are?
Cool. I try to do the right thing.
You try? A virtuous person doesn't try.
I'm on a deadline for something right now. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and for those who are not, Ken, how do you know you're not? Isn't this good? Aren't you thinking about it a little bit? Okay. I want you to think. I want you to think on these things. You know, don't think about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, who is your friend, where you live. Think on these things. And then those other things will be added unto you. That's how I want you to think. I don't want you to come to church and just leave without realizing some stuff. All right? Yes. How do you know you're not?
Because I don't stand for things. I'm wishy-washy. You know, I might stand for something 1 minute, and the next minute I don't stand for it.
And what prevents you from standing all the time?
Well, I started to see that, and this is actually very recently, that I'm looking for approval. I think when you
From your friends and from the world?
I want approval,
Yeah.
and I think it actually goes back to my mom, truthfully. And because of that, looking for that from the world, that it becomes a primary thing for me.
Yeah.
And even though I might know what's right and wrong, I can't even do it
Yeah.
because I need that approval.
Amazing.
So that's what keeps me from, you know, just being consistent. I mean, to me, virtue is a consistency. You're the same in any situation.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what it is. You know, and I see myself sometimes, and I'm like, that's not the same person.
Yeah. Are you still doing the prayer?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yep.
Every day?
Yep.
Night and day?
Yep.
Every day?
Yep.
All right, stay with it. And just be seeing that about yourself is the beginning of overcoming it. That's what you got to do. You got to see it, but don't judge it as right or wrong. You already know this, but for the other folks, don't judge it. Just see it, and God will do the rest. He'll put it in order. That's good, man. Yes, ma'am.
What I was going to say
how do you
was-
know you're not a virtuous person?
Well, actually, I was just going to ask you, can you define that word? You know, because it's not something that's on my mind every day.
Right.
And I have an idea of what it is, but I want to know exactly what it is. I didn't bring my smartphone, so I can't look it up. And so I'd be able to answer you better if I, you know, knew the exact meaning of what you're getting at.
Yes. Well,
So-
the fact that you got to ask what is it is the proof that you're not.
No, not really.
No, but if you were, you would know it.
No, because I do a lot of reading, a lot of looking up words and all this stuff, and then sometimes, like, you get the meanings are just, you know, sort of melds together, and then when you come up with something that, you know, like you haven't been across this word in a while, you may get it mixed up. So it does not
Yeah.
mean that I'm not virtuous. However, it would have been good if you asked that question, if we could have had the definition of what you're looking for. And so
Let me tell
if
you
I had
about
to, if I had to
words.
give you,
Let me tell you about words. Don't hang on to words, because words can mess you up. Do not hang on to words. I mean, that's why we're in a big mess in this country now, because of words. And the children of the lie, all they ever do is create words to control us. Racism, homophobia, Islamism, sexism, blackism, and white supremacism, and they control you with those words. And so when you look in the dictionary for the meaning of a word, it's not going to mean the thing that God has for you. It's not going to mean the same thing at all.
okay, so I can tell you that I'd say about 98% of the time I keep my word. Sometimes, like in conversation and so forth, like I say I'm going to do something, if somebody else brings it up and it may slip my mind, I don't take care of it. But generally speaking, you know, like I, you know, hold on to that. As you can We had a situation last week, didn't we, or something? We were talking, Tarsha and I were talking through text, and she said, okay, I'll see you at church on Sunday. And I said, okay. And I wasn't thinking, but like I had, a lot of stuff going on, and so I may or may not catch it on YouTube or come here. It depends on what's going on.
Right.
And so I actually sent her a text, and I said, oops, something about I gave her my word, but I didn't make it because I didn't show up, to church because I woke up at 10:40 on Sunday morning.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so that mean that you wasn't honest or something? Or?
I prefer to keep my word. If I
Right.
say
But
something.
sometimes you can't, and you just let the person know, hey, I can't do it, or I overslept, or whatever. It's no big deal.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I understand that.
It wasn't
but-
like intentional. It wasn't like lying to her knowing that you were lying. That's a different story. Things happen in life.
Right. Okay, yeah, and so I try to stay out of that arena. I try to be more conscious of when I say I'm going to do something now.
Right. Yes.
So that I don't forget about it or have to, if I have to go back and, say something before the event happens,
Right.
then I will take care of it. But once the event pass, for me, it becomes a bit more serious.
Yes.
It's like I didn't keep my word, that type of thing. So, anyway.
Good. Okay. Yes, ma'am. How do you know you're not a virtuous woman?
I actually think I am. But
Oh, you do?
But
Wow.
when you first asked, I didn't, because kind of with what she was saying, like, I don't, like, a lot of words do conjoin together, and I was thinking, like, what does virtuous mean?
Right.
And, like, she was talking about being, like, honest and stuff, and I think that might be a little part of it, but I, like, looked up the definition, and, like you said, you don't hang on to words, but it's saying it's having or showing high moral standards. So it's kind of conflicting because it's saying having or showing high moral standards.
Right.
So for the most part, I have high standards and high moral standards, but maybe not everybody sees it because I might not go like, I'll stand up for something that I believe is right, but I'm not going to go searching to go stand up for that thing, if that makes sense.
Right. You don't need to.
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but like,
you-
if like for example, if I'm on Facebook and I see a post I don't agree with, I might not always go comment
Right,
and stand up
that's
for
right.
it because I already know what I believe.
Yeah. So you think you might be virtuous?
No, I believe I am.
Oh, and the reason you are because of what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe not everyone sees it, but I myself know that I am.
Okay. Interesting. I have these shoes on today because I have a big thing on the side of my foot again. I don't think they make good shoes anymore. In the older days, you could have like two pair of shoes, a brown pair and a black pair, and the leather would be soft, and it'd rub up against your foot and make a big knot or make the foot. And now I think the shoemakers are using phony material. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, they still hurt. Cheap, maybe. So that's why I had to wear these, and I apologize. Yes, James.
Sarah is asking, Jesse, I forgave my father and mother, but I'm still feeling the anger. I'm doing the prayer every day. Does it take time? I've heard you say that anger can be dropped very quickly.
Right. Let me just finish this virtuous thing, and then I come to that. I got to move a little faster, too.
I just want to add something on this.
Oh, okay, real fast.
Okay, I agree with what you said about the words, enslaving you.
Yeah.
Use that word, but anyway.
Words can enslave you.
Right.
That's why God wants us to overcome words. He wants us to overcome everything that's of this world.
Okay, and so now that I've thought about it a little bit, I guess the way that I would answer with the way someone said something one time in a church, they said, if you please God, you will please man. And I guess, you don't have a need to wonder if you fit into anything. So, yes.
So, yes, you are a virtuous woman?
I please God,
You please God? All right. Say, well, God. That's right. What'd you say, Father? Joel, are you saying you're virtuous? You raise your hand.
Well, when that definition.
It's answer yes or no first.
Yes, I would say in the fact that I do have a high moral standard, but I don't always live up to it. But I do have a high moral standard.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't always live up to it. So I would say yes in that definition that she explained.
Right.
But no in actually completing it.
No, in completing it?
Yeah.
It's impossible to have a high moral standard and not live it?
Say it one more time.
Is it possible to have a higher moral standard and not live it?
Well, I guess in that case you wouldn't have it because it's not, you don't possess it. So I guess no. I would say no. So then I'm not virtuous.
Sitting next to Mary. Interesting. And again, this is not a put down. It's not a test for what you need to be thinking about. Our parents should have been an example of that. Our preachers in the past should have told us or had a discussion about it. You need to get to know yourself, so these things will come to you to know. It's in us to know, but we got to return to them. Let me take two quick more hands. The lady in the back first, and then here with the hat.
I heard someone say once that if you had virtue, you didn't know you had it.
You didn't know you had it?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Yes, ma'am.
Back to what he was saying, I think you can have high moral standards and not always live up to them, because the difference is there are some people who don't have standards whatsoever, and they're doing all this, like, bad things, but they don't
Right.
know that they're doing it, versus someone who can have high moral standards and fall off of it, but they see that they're doing something wrong and they always return back to the
And
good.
where do you get your high moral standards from?
That's a good question. I think it's a mix from, I guess, how you were raised, also just within yourself, and I guess knowing God.
Yeah, they come from God.
Mhm.
And so if God give them to you, he's going to cause you to live up to them, to cause you to live that way.
Yeah,
So
but
they're
that doesn't
from
mean
him.
you can, you stray away sometimes, but you still know that you did wrong.
Right.
And you return to it.
Okay.
Versus someone who doesn't have any higher standards, they're doing wrong, but they don't know that they are,
Right.
or they don't care.
The way that we know, too, to add to what everybody said, is that when you are a virtuous person, you are a free person. Liberty and virtue are the same. They're not separate from one another. Every man and woman who follow what's right, love what's right with his or her heart, soul, and might is a free person. Those are free people. They are not controlled by the world. They don't care what the world think. They are willing to stand alone for what is right. They are willing to be honest, but not hating and judging and putting a person down. They are willing to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Even in the crowd, if you have to stand alone, you still stand, because you are free, meaning that you're no longer subject to people, places, and things. That's how you would know. You become free. You're no longer subject to words. So if people call you names, or if they say bad things about you or good things, you treat them both the same, knowing that they're imposters. They both are imposters. So you overcome the world when you're a virtuous person. That makes sense? Like Kent was saying, if he was a virtuous man, no matter whom he's around, no matter what their degrees are, or how much money they have or don't have, he wouldn't go along with him. And most of them would start to respect him for it, because people are looking for the right way. They just haven't been told. Their parents were not good examples. And so this doesn't matter if you're with the president or the bomb on the street. You don't care about that. You care about that person's soul, because you're free. And God wants us to be free. He came that we might be free, overcome the world, die from the world. The ego dies from the world. And it happens on its own. You can't make it happen. As you're seeking the Father in his right way, these things are being added to you. That makes sense? So you will become free. You won't care. And it just happens. It's just like one day you look around and those things that seem so important to you, or the fear you had of standing up and all that, they're gone, and you don't even know when they left. You're changing because you are a spirit, and your Father is changing your spirit, who you really are. you're a part of him. Isn't that nice? And the reason I wanted to mention this, I remember a time when most black people were free, they were immoral people, and they were not controlled by words, and they were not controlled by who liked them or didn't like them. They were not controlled by that stuff prior to the civil rights movement. But then the enemies of good came in and corrupt them. And now they're controlled by that. They're not a free people because they lost their virtue. Black people used to be a moral people. I remember thinking only white people sin. Growing up in Alabama, I literally thought that. I now know I was wrong. And the reason I thought that because my uncles used to go up to New York and Florida during the summer and pick oranges and things like that. And they would come back with these horror stories, what white people were doing. And so I was thinking, wow, white people sin. I was like Louis Farrakhan, I guess. But now I know better, but that's how moral black people were then. And so they were not controlled by the world. They were not controlled by leaders. They were not controlled by whatever, a government paycheck. But they lost that, and now they're controlled. And so all immoral people are controlled. You cannot control a moral person or a moral people, a virtuous people. You can't control them. You have to demoralize them, and they're doing it to the young people in these schools. Look how immoral young people are today. They have sex at home with their mama in the house. They cuss out their mothers, their parents. They have no respect for the elderly. They don't want to work. They want to party all the time. They want to burn down people's property. They have no value at all, and they have been made to be that way so that they can be controlled. Have y'all noticed that? Yeah. You have to demoralize them to control them. But a virtuous person is a free person. That cannot happen to them. And so just think about that, all right? I know I saw some hands, but let me just take here because I have one more thing I want to share with you. And somebody, George Washington or somebody said, there could be no liberty without virtue. I think George Washington said that. Is he the guy that resigned from being president after a while and went back to doing his thing? Yes. Who did that? That was George Washington? Washington. Yeah. He thought, you know what? It's not good for me to be here to be president all this time. He thought it should be a short period. And so he said, there can be no liberty without virtue. And that is so true. I want you, and out there in TV land, I want you to get to know yourself and see how you are being controlled by people, places, and things. You are being controlled. And the only reason you're not a righteous person. And when you see it, don't trip out about it. Just see, wow, this is so true. I'm afraid to speak up. I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I'll wait until later. I'll do it in a nice way. You are being controlled. Yes, James?
You want me to get back to that question?
Yes.
Sarah is asking, Jesse, I forgave my father and mother, but I'm still feeling anger. I am doing the prayer every day. Does it take time? I wasn't there when you did that, Sarah, but if you're still having it, just relax in it. Don't say, well, for Jesse, it happened right away for him. Don't compare yourself to me. So just stay with the prayer, and when that anger comes, go to it and relax. Don't force it. Don't fight against it. Don't judge it. And God will take care of it. It's not a big deal. And since, especially God knows your heart, and you understand what you want. So just relax. Be cool. Take a smoke. You can't change it, so just relax and stay with the prayer, all right, the silent prayer. I have another different question.
Yes.
His name is Abel Rodriguez, and he says, should I leave a girl because she trusts her pastors more than me, or should I fall in line with her pastors?
What do you say to that, Jeremiah? Should I leave a girl because she trusts her pastor more than me? Or should I fall in line with the pastor? The pastor.
That's just a weird question.
At your age, I can imagine.
Yeah.
16. Keep on living. It won't be weird in the next 10 years.
Okay.
What do you say, Joel?
Well, it depends on if the pastor is saying, if he's speaking the truth, then fall in line with the truth. But I mean, if she's treating you a certain way and because her pastor is telling the truth, then that's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah. It's a hard question to answer because I don't have enough details. You know, because I don't know what the pastor is saying. I don't know what she's saying to the pastor. I don't know what he's doing or not doing. So if you need counseling, call my office. Because I don't have enough detail to answer that question.
Yeah, I asked him to call, before I even asked you this question out loud, I asked him to call in. He said he will try, but he's Mexican. He doesn't speak very good English.
Oh.
But
maybe you
can
could
try
call
anyway.
the radio show,
Yeah.
and I can have you in there with me, and you can interpret.
Okay.
Or translate.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
Tell him that. Tell him you'll be in the studio with me to translate.
He can probably hear you.
Oh, but he doesn't understand me. No habla español. Patico. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't speak Spanish.
Oh, excuse me. Is that right, Patico? See. So let me know that. So I got to ask this real fast. How many of you, I heard this morning on the hate report. Anyway, does anybody have any questions for me? Did you guys, anybody have anything you want to, that you're like, wow, I need to talk to Jesse about this on Sunday? Yes?
Well, I had an encounter at work. One of my coworkers, she was smoking marijuana in her car, and one of my other coworkers, he's a brother in Christ, and he told me to talk to her instead of going to HR for it. And he didn't say nothing either. So I went to her after work and I told her about it, and she said she didn't do it. I just said, don't do it at work, do it at home. And I know she hates me now, which I don't care. But
Did she say that?
no, but I see what she's doing at work. Like, she's always trying to get in my way
Oh, okay.
and trying to get on me. So how would I go about dealing with that?
I would have stayed out of that situation.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't be so holy you got to get involved in every situation.
No, I know, but it's just
Yeah.
like, don't do that at work.
You should have told him, go do it. You tell her.
Yeah.
You didn't see it
No, I did. I actually went outside and I smelled it from
after he told you about it, right?
Yeah.
Right. You shouldn't have gone outside to
Okay.
smell it. Did you get high when you smelled it?
No, heck no. I was throwing out the trash.
Oh. He went out there pretending, trying to help. He played holy. He really went out there to get a sniff. Like Bill Clinton said, I smoked, but I didn't inhale. And so he go back in high, and he said, I inhaled, but I didn't smoke. No, some situations don't get involved in them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so you were wrong. I got to ask this last thing. How many of you, oh, right here, you have a question for me? Oh, okay. Take the mic.
Good morning.
This your first time here?
Yes.
Oh, welcome.
My name is Wallace.
Hey, Wallace. How did you hear about us?
Drove by, kind
Oh.
of bank across the street. And
Oh, okay.
read some of your information on the window.
Oh, good. Okay. What's your
I
question?
hear you talking about a specific prayer. Is there a specific prayer for anger?
Yes. I have a silent prayer. God said, be still and know that he's God. He already know what you want. He know what your problems are. But if you just, when you pray, just sit still and relax and let go, then it allows him to take over and change your world. And so it's on the website. The silent prayers on rebuildingtheman.com. You can go and download it at no cost, or you can take a CD today at no cost. And I highly recommend it for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this helping today, what we were talking about?
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, good. And do you have anger?
Yes.
Oh, put the mic to your mouth.
Yes.
You have anger. How did you become angry?
I think at the level that it has become, because a year ago, I was engaged to my fiance, who's the mother of my two kids. So one morning, 4 in the morning, I'm at work in Los Angeles, and we live in Lancaster, and I get a picture to my phone of her and a guy in our house kissing 4 in the morning. It goes to my phone, and she was trying to send it to her girlfriend.
That's why I don't like cell phones. Cell phone be calling you and you don't know it. It's in pictures and you don't know it.
So
Go
to
ahead.
make a long story short, our son and daughter's upstairs, they're downstairs. So my mind went somewhere, and literally I went to my mother's house and got a pistol.
Yeah.
So I'm on my way up there, and I get to the 405 and Mulholland, and I turn around and I go back to my mother's house, so I don't go home for like 2 days.
Yeah.
So when I go home, it's drama, nothing physical or what have you. So now, to speed up the tape, in the course of the year, her relationship is off and on with this person, kind of in my face, not in my face, okay? So when I find out the information on him, I run a background check, and he's a convicted murderer from New York, 2-time convicted pedophile and sodomist, okay? So when I confront her with this information, she tries to kind of defend him and water it down. Oh, this happened when he was 18. No, this happened when he was 43.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're still with her?
No.
Oh.
A month ago, see, she's a recovering addict.
Somebody
I am
squeezing a
too.
water bottle or something. Oh.
She's a recovering addict. I am too. She's active with alcohol and pill popping and Oxycontins because she has a dislocated shoulder.
Right.
But she's been doing this like for a year now, won't go get any help, drinking like a pint of Padron a day, 6-pack of Corona, a fifth of wine.
Speaking to the mic.
A fifth of wine with Oxycontins, morphine pills, and like Beano Alka-Seltzer.
Sound like a
Just
drugstore.
A lot of toxicity.
So let me ask, because of time, you're no longer with her, right?
No, the month ago, she got drunk. She was in my face. She tried to play the mind game and tell my kids that, like, I'm the pedophile. I'm the, to take the spotlight off of the guy she's having an affair with, being the villain. She tries to switch gears that I'm that person.
How old are your kids?
5 and 10.
A boy and a girl?
Boy and a girl. My daughter is 10. My son is 5.
Right.
So with her in my face, it's like 3 in the morning. She's drunk. I'm like, get out of my face. She's spitting on me, and I just snapped and broke her jaw. So I have.
Speak up into the mic there.
So the police came to my mother's door. She took out a restraining order on me. I got that 3 days after I had hit her. So police came to my mother's house. They said, you're not in any trouble. Usually domestic violence, you're going straight to jail.
Right.
So they said, this is just a restraining order. Make your court dates. You got any guns, turn them in. So when we go to court, she wanted to extend the restraining order for a year. The judge said, no, when there's children involved, Children's Services need to come investigate the situation. So they have 3 weeks to investigate the situation. Okay, so I go back October 10th. So I haven't seen my children for a month.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going along with my program. I hit my meetings, I hit services, I'm praying, and I'm very hopeful, and I'm surrendering myself to whatever God's will is, and I'm gonna get my behind out the way.
Yeah.
So I'm working on my anger, and that's where I'm at today.
And so you want to know what I think you should do about all this?
No doubt.
Okay. Dump this woman. Based on the information you're giving me, I only have one side. but I would get myself together. You know, I would get my own place. I would divorce her like 90 going north. I would.
We're common law. We're not legally married.
Oh, okay. You're not married, but you're just living together.
That was the first mistake.
Yes. Never live with a woman. Two things you should never do. Never have a sex with a woman before you marry her, and never live with her before you marry. It's a horrible mistake. So here's what I do to get myself together. You need to get your own place, save money, and then file for your children. Stay out of trouble. Don't deal with her anymore, because your addiction to her and her addiction to you, you guys going to end up fighting even more so, and it's just going to get you in more trouble.
Yeah.
And you don't need to pile on like that. Based on all the information you just gave me, you have a better chance of getting your children than them staying with her because of all the situations she's wrapped up in.
Because I've been dealing with the disrespect like a year, and I just
Yeah.
been holding back
Leave her alone.
from snapping, and it's like I'm like you're
Right.
being manipulated
Yes.
to just lose it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't want that to happen, so stay away from her. No more communication with her at all. If you need to get your kids, have somebody else do it for you.
Okay.
You got to stay away from her. You won't make it if you keep doing this.
I believe that.
And so what I recommend, come in for counseling. Call the office and come in for counseling. I can be more personal with you about it. But I recommend you start doing the prayer immediately, that silent prayer. And then I recommend that you forgive your mother for what she did to you while raising you, so that God can forgive you. And that way you won't be subject to women. Your resentment of your mother has caused you to be subject to women, and you're never going to find peace like that. Because you become attracted to whomever you're angry at. And so every woman you get involved with is your mother. They have the same spirit. And that's why you can't handle them.
Because she has 6 other kids, so that's a total of 8.
Your girlfriend?
Yes, and 3
You got
have
with a
been-
woman that has 6 children?
Three have been, 3 had been adopted with foster care. So she has a history with Children's Services with 8 children.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, because of time, it's not her fault that you're in this situation. It's your fault.
No doubt, no doubt. I
Yeah.
accept
And so don't
her
be mad at her.
responsibility.
Don't be angry at her at all. Just work on you so you can see why you got into that situation.
Yeah,
So you
my
can,
mismanagement.
yes, because you were blind and couldn't see what you were doing, right?
No doubt.
So I highly recommend drop all that and work on yourself, and God will work the whole thing out for you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got to stay away from her because you're just digging a hole.
That's right.
And after a while, there'll be no way you're going to get your children. So just work on you, and don't worry. If you return to the Father, things will work out. It won't look like it in the physical, but you're going to have to do without seeing your kids. You're going to have to get back to your natural state of being so you can be guided in the right way to go. Because you're blind and can't see. All that anger you have has blinded you. Have you apologized to your mother for resenting her?
Oh, yes.
You apologized to your mother? What did you say to her?
I asked her for my
Speak into this.
I asked her for her forgiveness of any hurt or harm that I've caused my mother, verbally or mentally or whatever.
Why did you resent her so much? What did she do that you didn't like?
I really never had like resentment towards my mother. My mother was never.
But why were you so irritated at her
physically-
then?
No, probably apologizing to her from my action and my active addiction in the past.
Well, let me just tell
or
you this. That's not
dishonesty
an
or
apology.
lack of virtues.
That's not an apology. You never, ever, 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 ever go to anyone and ask them to forgive you. You go and forgive them. I'm sorry for being angry at you for what you did to me. I'm wrong. And if they have any decency in them at all, they would apologize. But when you go and apologize for being, like, you went to your mother, you should have said, you know what, Mother, I'm sorry for being angry at you growing up because of the things you did. And then God will forgive you. But when you went and asked your mother to forgive you, nothing changed. It just made you weaker. You're still the same person. But when you're sorry for resenting them, because resentment is judgment, and then God will forgive you and make you free. Then you can overcome mama. And then you can deal with women in the right way, the way a man should deal with a woman. So think about the things that she got on your nerves about, because no mama is perfect. I know that we like to think that she is, but she's not.
So are you saying the resentment that I have towards my mother is basically the same resentment that I have towards the mother of my children?
100%.
Okay, it's the connection there.
Yes.
Okay, I feel you.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I got you.
And then that's why I want, because if you leave this woman and don't overcome all this stuff, you're just going to end up with another woman the same way. Same, you can't get away from it until you forgive your mother. And because you become like your mother, you have the same personality, and that resentment you have, it causes you to go to women looking for love, mama's love, and instead it turned out to be hell. That makes sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so you got to forgive her so that God can forgive you, and then things will start to change.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you got to work on yourself right now. And I'll show you how. We have men's meeting. Matter of fact, we have a men's meeting this Thursday, right? We'll have at 7 o'clock this Thursday night. Be here.
Okay.
Be there or be square.
I'm going to be there.
Because all this pain that you're going through, it's a perfect moment for salvation. You can change just like that.
That's right.
Really, because now you have nobody else to turn to but God. All right? But leave this woman alone, leave the kids alone, and work on you, and it's going to blow your mind. That make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, make sure you get the silent prayer. Make sure you're here Thursday night.
Okay.
And we'll get you straight.
All right.
All right. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming.
All right.
So did you agree with the conversation we just had?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that light in the truth, no doubt.
Yes.
I appreciate your advice.
And don't be talking about, Mama, I'm sorry for what I done to you. I know I was a drug addict. I know I did this. I was bad. Don't do that. That's weak.
Right.
Your mama made you that way so you couldn't help it. And she'd be like, all right, baby.
Made by mama.
Ain't taking no responsibility.
Okay.
But you forgive her because your mother couldn't help the way she is. She became like her mother. So you forgive her, God will forgive you, and you'll be free. All right? And then where's your father?
My father passed about 15 years ago.
Were you close to him?
No, basically me and my mother were together, and then I have 8 sisters on my father's side, and it's just me and my mother on my
Oh,
mother's
my
side.
God.
So it's been my mother and I. She just turned 84 Thursday, and I'm 62, so we've been together 62 years.
It's time to get away from
Attached
mama,
to the
brother.
hip.
That's too much mama.
Now she 84, so I got to move closer to her. No, I know what you're saying.
Mama take you to the grave with her.
Right, I ain't with her. Not the double casket.
No. You got to get away from mama.
I hear you.
You're very fortunate because right now all that can change.
Right.
Because when mama die, you're going to be carrying on and can't live, can't eat, can't sleep because mama gone. And you don't want that? No.
Gotta get free.
You got to get over mama. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
She's not senile or anything, right?
No.
Okay, you got a chance.
She's a young 84.
Okay, yeah, because she
rides
sucked the life out of everybody
She's
else.
84 and riding a hoverboard.
I bet she is.
That's a young 84.
Because she's living off other human beings.
Right.
She's like a vampire.
Sucking the blood.
Sucking the life out of everybody and their mama.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, God. Anyway, I'm so out of time. I am so out of time. Here's what I wanted to ask everybody, but I can't get into it. Have you ever confessed Jesus? And I heard these guys talking about it today on the Hate Report with Joel and Esteban. Have you ever confessed Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Anybody ever done that? my question is going to be, did you change? All right? I want you to think about that. It was such a good discussion they had today on the radio. I'm like, wow, that's my question of the week. When you confess it out there in the world, when you confess Jesus as your Lord and Savior, did you change? All right? Isn't that a good question? I love this church. I learned so much from this church. I like their show too, because they talk about real stuff, and they're young folks, and most of the time they don't know what they're talking about, but it gets you to thinking. They're up there grinning and just talking, right? But that's why I listen to all people. I listen to my enemies. I listen to men and women. I listen to children. It doesn't matter what color, because you'll be surprised at what you learn. As long as you don't have a judgment of the person or people, you can learn so much. As long as you don't judge. So my question is, have you confessed that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior? And did you change? All right, James, that's my biblical question, all right? Thank you for tuning in. We provide counseling. We need your financial support. We got to move. We got to buy a place, so we got to get out of here. And we got a lot of work to do. So if you're getting help from the church, at least help support it financially, all right? And the other thing, if you need counseling, call us. Listen to the radio show, Monday through Friday. Go to jlptalk.com. And if you have questions, any kind of question, call the show. Call me, and we can talk about it. All right? Thank you for tuning in. And thank you all for coming. I totally enjoyed this today. Thank you very much.